Okay, I went and called myself getting myself together. I don't know if it's any better or not, but whatever. So I'm going to finish what I started. So I came here to share my journey. You know, I'm at a stage in my life. I have 1 year until I'm 40. And I don't feel like I'm having like an existential crisis or like a midlife crisis or nothing like that. It's not even midlife, especially nowadays because humans are living longer. So, you know, I don't feel like I'm having an existential crisis. But maybe I am. I mean, I am at a point where everything that I ever knew and everything that I accomplished is kind of has changed. I became a nurse when I was 25, and I was an RN for about 10 years. Wow, yeah. My son got sick. My son was born in 2010, and when he was about 6 years old, he got sick. He started like vomiting and having headaches and stuff like that. I didn't understand what was going on. You know, he was getting very sick, and so he got sick at the age of 6 and vomiting, saying he had headaches and crying in his sleep about his head. Took him to the doctor, and they told me that he had very large brain tumor, and I didn't know what to say. Like, are you kidding me? You know, like, are you serious? And I mean, it's called neurofibromatosis type 2 or NF type 2. There's an NF type 1, and I believe there's an NF type 3, and I think they're moving on to NF 4, but I'm not sure, which I would hope not, because that means there's more mutation of this Merlin gene. So anyway, yeah, my son got like diagnosed with neurofibromatosis type 2, just like his father, and he also has a little brother who I believe is diagnosed as well. And he started to develop tons of brain tumors, and the one that they found, they didn't know like when the tumor started to grow, like, you know, because people ask me that, like, did it start growing when he was a baby? And I don't know. I just know that at 6 years old, my son's life and my life and everyone that was close with us, our lives changed completely. My son went from running and playing like a normal kid to basically quadriplegic. He couldn't breathe on his own. He was choking when I was feeding him, and we were in and out of the hospital, and they gave him a shunt, a VP shunt, which they inserted in his brain, and they fished it down like the back of his neck here, and it went down all the way down to his stomach, and it drained the fluid from his brain because he had hydrocephalus, which means there was swelling of the brain. I'm not trying to use all these big words because people get confused, and you know, but basically his brain was swelling because the tumor was stopping the fluid from draining. It was right in the way, and your brain drains the fluid down and, you know, through your lymph system, and my son's, it was clogged because of the tumor. So they put a shunt in and, you know, told us to resume life as normal, which I don't know how you could do that, but you know, a person that's in shock, that's what they want to hear. You know, when you're in shock, you kind of want to hear that everything's okay, you know, especially if your life is like blam, like I'm gonna flip your life upside down, and you figure out how to get back on the other side. So yeah, so that didn't work. We went home, and he got sicker and sicker, and took him back to another hospital, and he got more surgeries, but they bought me time. Now, what does that mean, right? We went to another hospital, and the doctors basically, I brought all of his scans. I actually flew my son to New York to one of the best surgeons that I was recommended from a support group from parents of children with NF2, and they referred me to this surgeon, and they told me like he's great, and I took him out there, and he wanted to do the surgery. He basically understood that he was our last hope because of where my son's brain tumor was. It was a very risky surgery. It was compressing his brain stem. So it's basically like the size of a rock, and then his brain stem is right here. You can't separate that, you know. That's not compatible with life. So they had to figure out how to get through this huge tumor and save his life. And they said the surgery, but it was a little bit too far out. My son got really sick, and we rushed him to a local hospital, which was CS Mott, U of M, Michigan Hospital, and they were amazing. Garten, right? Dr. Garten. Yeah, Dr. Garten. I haven't talked to him in about 7 months. My son passed away 6 months ago, and a little over 6 months. And the last time I talked to him was probably a little bit before then. We were in the hospital, and he came by, and just a wonderful human being. But the day that he met me, he said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to figure it out. And he did look at all his scans all night. I brought every scan. My son had so many MRIs and CAT scans. It was ridiculous. He looked at every scan, and he said, I need to do the surgery in 2 days. And it was 22 hours long. Do you understand me? I was like, What? Yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, it's devastating that you got to do brain surgery, but this is the life that we're in. We're in it. It's a go. Like, we can't stop now. We got to fight. And that's just how I am. And I've been that way my entire life. And I've had so many ups and downs that I just feel like I need to share it. And I am. But so, yeah, it was a go. And they did the first surgery. And then they did the second surgery and the third surgery. And I mean, there was so much family and support there at the hospital to help us through that. You know, it was devastating, to say the least. Like, the strength that I have right now, it doesn't come from me. No. I ask for this strength all the time so that I'm able to share this story, because to even sit here and talk about it and not slide down out of this chair into a puddle of tears is amazing for me right now. And that's why I haven't said anything until now, because it was just too much. It's too much. Like, every night the memories are replaying in my head. The whole time, the whole 6 years. We fought for 6 years. My son was 6 years old. He had just turned 7, actually. It was November of 2017. And the surgeon came to me and he said, I don't know how long you have, because they were recommending hospice and palliative care back in 2017. Okay, this was recommended then. They said there's nothing we can do. We cannot save your son from this, and you guys need to put him in hospice and palliative care. He was 6. I was like, fuck that. Are you fucking kidding me? I was a puddle of tears. I was a wreck. I actually was trying to go back to work the day they told me that, and I was like, I gotta go to work. Like, I didn't even understand, right? So we did not decide on hospice. No, we're gonna fight. And we fought. I fought hard for my baby. I monitor him very closely. Speaking of being a nurse, that was a no-go at that point. I had to let that go, right? I could not keep up with working. I couldn't keep up with all the requirements and everything to keep my nursing license at that time and stay practicing, because my time and my devotion was to my son, to guide him through that journey and to be there with him and to make it as comfortable and as memorable as I possibly could. So the surgeon came out and he said, Sybil, I have bought you time. I don't know how much time. He said, I know I bought you months. Okay? When he said that, I was like, okay. He said, hopefully years. I'm going to be here with you along the way. And he was. He was there. I waited, even if he's the type of doctor that one time we came for an appointment and someone was coming into the hospital and had like a brain aneurysm right before they came in. He was on his way to see us. I saw him getting the person on the stretcher and running down the hall with him. I mean, he's an amazing doctor. Like, he's a TV doctor in real life, though. And I want to give him his flowers now. So that's why because I want to give him his flowers now. He gave me years with my son, and my son lived those years, even though his health declined and he got really sick. He got to the point where he couldn't eat, he couldn't talk, he couldn't swallow. I had to constantly suction his mouth. He couldn't sniff, so his nose would just run down, you know. And we would suction his nose constantly. I mean, he was on tons of medication, but throughout all of that, and he was fed through a tube in his stomach. He didn't have any ports or anything because he was not on, like, he didn't get chemotherapy. It wasn't cancer. These tumors are benign, but they're metastatic, which means they grow and they're not going anywhere. His tumors were hard like a rock. They weren't soft. So it didn't give his brain any space. No space, you know. And my baby fought hard. He was a fighter. Man, he's a fighter. He taught me so much stuff. And he used to say little silly things like, you know, people look at me and they feel bad and they say, oh my God, he's in the bed and he can't move and play and stuff. But if they only know, I got it made. He was like, I get you to cook my food. You clean me up. You spray my cologne on me. You get me dressed. I watch my favorite shows all day. The nurses take care of me. I got it made. He was just a very, very special person. Very special person. So yeah, that was the beginning of our journey. You know, it started out very rocky, very, very rocky, and I was afraid. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it wasn't like I had it all figured out, or, you know, I probably made it look really good, and if I did, then blessings to him, because that was not of my own doing at all. Like, for me to have the strength to push through was only from the universe, from God, from source. But yeah, we did so many things, and he got really ill, and I was there all along the way, and things got really rocky. Things did not go perfectly at all. Like, things got really crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like, things got really crazy. Like, whoo, ridiculously crazy. And it didn't happen for nothing. And my son passed away in my arms right 6 months before he turned 12. He was 11 and a half. And he didn't want me to sleep with him that night. By that time, we had a blinking system. And I used to say, you know, if it's a yes, then you're going to blink twice. And if it's a no, blink one time. You know what I'm saying? Because most of the time he would say no. So I didn't really put him in the effort of saying yes, which was 2 blinks. And so I asked him, do you want me to sleep with you tonight? And he said, and I'm like, no, baby. 2 blinks for yes and 1 blink for no. And so he said, like a long, I'm going to let you know it's a no. So I was like, all right, but I had a very odd feeling. I can't even say bad feeling because I had a bad feeling the whole time. I knew I was on borrowed time with him the whole time. And that's what pushed me into my spiritual journey, because I had to make sense of it, you know? And then things started happening. Like, I started to have visions and very clear signs and of certain things. And it kind of spooked me out at first, because I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, what is happening? But I understood that I was on borrowed time and I was dealing with a very special person. And I started to search for every meaning I could find in this journey, and like, why is this happening to me too? And why is this happening to my son? Like, why does he have to suffer? I begged God plenty of nights to just swap us out. You know what I'm saying? Like, just put it on me. Just put it on me. I will take it. I'll make it look good, I swear. But take it off of him. Take it. He don't deserve this.